chosen one twice. Now, twice something has tried to reach you. Not a whisper, not a vague feeling, a clear, unmistakable signal that appeared in the middle of your ordinary life and said, "This is the moment. This is the direction. This is the door." And you paused. You felt it. And then the familiar weight of everything else pulled you back, and the moment passed. I know the question that followed. You have carried it quietly ever since, not loud enough to become grief, but present enough to never fully leave. Here is what I need you to understand before we go a single step further. The fact that God warned you twice and is sending a third word now does not mean he is frustrated with your hesitation. It means your destination is important enough to fight for. Ordinary assignments do not receive this kind of divine persistence. Ordinary people are not pursued with this kind of patient, relentless, precise intention. The repetition is not heaven running out of grace. The repetition is heaven running towards someone it refuses to lose. You are here because you matter to the plan. Stay with me because before this is over, I will show you what the first two warnings actually were and what this final one is asking of you. Now, before we go further, if you are around other people right now, this message may not be for their ears. It was placed before you, not before them. You, because here is the truth about how you arrived here. Not the mechanics, not the small, ordinary sequence of decisions that brought your attention to this moment. I mean, the current moving underneath all of that, the force that has been working across the seasons of your life, through closed doors, through long silences, through seasons of waiting that felt like nothing was changing to bring you to exactly this point. God does not move like that for people whose lives are inconsequential. He does not position and prepare and pursue with this kind of patience unless what he is working toward is real. Type "I'm here right now, not for me," as a signal to yourself that you arrived at this moment, ready to receive it. Now, before I show you what the warnings were, I need you to hear something first. There have been signs, not dramatic, not impossible to explain away, but they're running quietly through your days like a current beneath the ordinary. And I want to name them because no one has named them for you yet, and you deserve to hear them said out loud. The first one is this. You have been feeling a restlessness that sleep does not fix. Not anxiety, exactly, something deeper. A kind of spiritual impatience, a low-level pressure underneath everything, a feeling that something in your life is waiting to move and the waiting is becoming harder to sustain. That is not a symptom of something wrong with you. That is your spirit recognizing that the season of holding still is ending. The second sign is something that happens in your dreams. They have been more vivid than usual, more real. You wake up still carrying the weight of them even when the details dissolve. Sometimes there are doors in those dreams. Sometimes there are paths you are trying to find. Sometimes there is a sense of searching for something you can feel but cannot see. That is not random dreaming. That is your spirit processing what your waking mind has not yet been willing to sit with directly. The third sign is that your tolerance for certain things has quietly shifted. Conversations that used to feel normal now leave you drained in a way they did not before. Environments that used to feel comfortable now feel like they belong to a version of you that has already moved on. The noise that everyone around you accepts without question. You cannot seem to accept it anymore. That is not you becoming difficult. That is your spirit becoming discerning. There is a difference. The fourth sign is that emotion has been arriving without a clear cause. A heaviness that is not quite sadness. A longing that is not quite grief. Moments when something moves in your chest and almost cry. A catching of the breath and you do not know where it came from. This is not instability. This is your body processing the weight of an unanswered call. Your spirit is not breaking, it is awake. The fifth sign is specific, and I want you to hear this one carefully. There have been moments in the quiet when a thought arrived that did not feel like a thought. It felt more like a direction. A sense that you were supposed to do something, like a task you could feel the shape of but could not remember the name of. And instead of following it, you set it aside. You told yourself it was not the right time, and something in you has been wondering about it ever since. The sixth sign is that words have been landing differently. A stranger says something offhand that stops you completely. A song comes on at the exact moment you needed to hear exactly that. A sentence in a conversation that was not meant for you reaches inside you anyway, and you cannot explain why it stayed. You passed it off as coincidence. It was not coincidence. Just because you could not name it did not make it less real. Just because no one validated it did not mean it was not happening. Just because it came without announcement does not mean it did not carry weight from somewhere beyond the ordinary. Now, here is what I need you to do right now. Stay with this message until the very end. Because before we close, before the final word of this message, I am going to show you what the two warnings actually were, where they appeared in your life, and what they were pointing toward. And then I am going to speak something over you directly, a declaration, a commissioning, something specific for the chosen ones who are ready to answer the third warning. You need to be here for that. It will not come early. It will come when it is supposed to come, so do not go anywhere. Now, the first warning, I want you to understand something before I tell you what it was. If I asked you right now what was the first time God warned you, your mind would probably reach for something dramatic, a near miss, a vision, a sudden obvious divine interruption. And that is exactly why so many people miss the first warning when it arrives. Because it almost never arrives dramatic. It arrives quiet, embedded inside an ordinary moment, wrapped in the clothing of a circumstance you could almost explain away if you hadn't felt it. Think of it this way. Imagine your life as a journey. You are moving in a direction, and that direction has felt right enough to keep going. But something about where you are heading has been slightly, not completely, but slightly misaligned with where you are actually meant to arrive. What does a navigation system do in that moment? It does not scream, it does not punish you for the wrong turn, it simply recalculates. It says calmly and clearly, turn here. This is the adjustment. This is the correction. That is exactly what the first warning was. For some of you, it came as a closed door. Something you were certain was yours, a path, a relationship, an opportunity that simply would not open no matter how hard you pushed. At the time, it felt like rejection, it felt like failure, it felt like something was being taken from you. But that closed door was not punishment, it was protection. It was the hand of the divine redirecting before you went further down a road that would have cost you more than the closed door ever did. For others, the first warning came as a person, someone who appeared in your life at a specific moment and said something or simply showed you something about yourself that landed differently than anything had landed before. You may have tried to set it aside, but it stayed. Words carry that kind of weight when they come from somewhere beyond the one who speaks them. And for some of you, the first warning was entirely internal, a moment of knowing so clean, so undeniable that you had to work to talk yourself out of it. A sense of, this is it, this is the direction. And instead of moving, you waited for more certainty. You waited for permission that was in that moment already being given. Here is what all three of those have in common. The first warning is always about direction, not destination. God rarely gives you the full picture at once. He gives you the next turn. He says, this door, not that one, this knowing, not this fear, this step, not the entire staircase. Joseph was a young man when he received his first warning in a dream. His brothers would bow before him. That was the image. He shared it. He was mocked for it. He did not understand the full meaning of it. He could not have known what road it was asking him to walk, but he heard it. And in the economy of heaven, the hearing was enough. The hearing always matters more than the understanding. Your first warning came and you heard it. Even if you did not respond to it the way you wish you had, you heard it. And I hear the Spirit saying over you right now, not as a rebuke, not as a correction, but as a confirmation. The first time I spoke, you heard it. I know you heard it. And I was never frustrated that you hesitated. I was always going to speak again. I always intended this moment. And what I need from you now is not an explanation of what happened before. What I need is a different response. But here is what I have not yet shown you. The first warning was only the surface of what I need to tell you. What the second warning asked of you, that is where this story gets harder, and that is where the real answer lives. The answer to why you are here, the answer to what has been building in you across this entire season. Stay with me. Between the first warning and the second, there was a season. I want to talk about that season because I know what it felt like from the inside, and I know that most people have never had anyone describe it to them with any accuracy. It felt like nothing was happening. That is the hardest part of it. On the outside, life kept moving. Days passed. People around you seemed to be advancing, arriving, building towards something, and you were still in what felt like the same place, asking what felt like the same questions, carrying what felt like the same weight you thought would be lifted by now. What if I told you that not a single day of that season was wasted? What if I told you that the wilderness between the first warning and the second was not a consequence for missing the signal? What if it was preparation, not for what you wanted to be ready for, but for what the assignment actually requires? Because here is what the wilderness was doing inside you, even on the days when you could not feel anything working. The first thing it did was strip away false foundations, the things you had been building. Your sense of security on approval, familiarity, the relationships that made you feel certain of your value, they began to shift. Not because God was being unkind, but because you cannot be trusted with something built on solid ground while your footing is still in sand. The stripping was not destruction, it was clearing, it was the removal of everything that would have collapsed under the weight of what is coming. The second thing the wilderness did was form the character the assignment requires. You cannot be trusted with weight. You have not been built to carry. And so the seasons that felt like they were breaking you were actually strengthening something that cannot be manufactured any other way. Patience formed in the waiting, discernment formed in the silence, endurance built across the long and unremarkable days when nothing moved and you stayed faithful anyway. And the third thing the wilderness did was create the hunger. You had to reach a place where staying the same became more painful than the fear of moving forward. You had to want the calling more than you wanted the comfort of the life you already knew. If you are here right now, if you arrived at this message after everything that season cost you, then the wilderness did exactly what it was meant to do. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before the burning bush appeared. 40 years, not as a punishment, not because God had lost track of him, but because the man who stood before Pharaoh and delivered a nation could not have been the man who fled Egypt. The wilderness built the deliverer that the palace never could have produced. What felt like abandonment was actually protection. What felt like delay was actually development. What felt like silence was actually strategy. What felt like nothing was actually everything. If what I just said gave language to something you have been carrying without a name, something that has been sitting in you without being spoken, take a moment right now and send this message to someone in your life who has been in their own wilderness longer than expected. Not with an explanation, not with a note. Just send it. Let what they need find them the way it found you. Now the second warning. The second warning is different from the first, not quieter, clearer. The first warning pointed at a direction. The second warning named what had to change before you could actually move in it. And that is why it was harder to receive than the first. For some of you, the second warning came as a removal. Someone moved out of your life or out of reach in a way that left a specific kind of space behind. Not simply the emptiness of loss, but something more particular. The space of having to find out who you are without a person or a structure that you had been leaning on. That removal was not abandonment. It was the clearing of the field for what needed to grow without interference. For others, the second warning arrived as repetition. The same dynamic, different faces, different circumstances appearing again and again, pointing at the same area of your life. The same arguments surfacing in different relationships, the same pattern repeating itself in a different context. The repetition was not bad luck, it was a finger pointing. It was the divine saying, look here, look at this is the thing you have not yet surrendered. And for some of you, the second warning came as disruption, something external that stopped working or collapsed or shifted at the exact moment when you felt most stable. That disruption was not the end of something, it was the loosening of something that had to release before what was next could arrive. All three of those forms are asking for the same thing. The second warning does not ask you to move to a new destination. It asks you to put something down at your current address. It says you cannot carry this into what comes next. It has to be released here, and putting down something you have been holding for a long time, something that once kept you safe or made you feel certain or gave you an identity you understood, is one of the hardest things a human being can be asked to do. Because here is the truth about why your heart hesitated when the second warning came, and I want you to hear this without any shame attached to it. It was not carelessness, it was not distance from God, it was not indifference to what you were being asked. It was fear. And underneath the fear, a belief that had been built quietly and carefully across years of experience. The belief that when you step towards something that costs you, the cost is always real. But the arrival is not guaranteed, and every time the window opened, something in you said, not yet. And every time your spirit stirred, something in you said, not yet. and every time the call felt close enough to touch, something in you pulled back just enough to let the moment pass. That is not who you are. That is what survival taught you to do. The heart that has been hurt enough, that has reached for things it was certain were real and found them gone, learns to protect itself from hope. Not because hope is the enemy, but because the heart that has been disappointed enough loses the ability to tell the difference between a real door and a door that is only painted on a wall. And here is something I want you to hear, because it matters more than most people realize. This hesitation, this specific pattern of hearing clearly and moving slowly, has an explanation that goes deeper than willpower or faith or spiritual discipline alone. The brain, when it has been operating in a state of sustained stress for an extended period of time, settles into a particular frequency. Scientists call it the beta state, the frequency of high alert, of constant risk scanning, of managing the day rather than expanding into it. And when the brain is locked in that frequency, something specific happens. Signals that would otherwise land clearly, signals of direction, of calling, of deep knowing, arrive, but cannot be received with the same resonance, the same depth, the same quality of clarity they carry. It is not that the signal is weaker, it is that the instrument doing the receiving has been tuned to a different channel. Neuroscientists at MIT, Harvard, and Stanford have identified a distinct frequency state associated with peak clarity, with breakthrough insight, with the kind of knowing that arrives whole and without effort. They call it gamma coherence. And what their research confirmed is this: every child is born with the natural ability to access that state. It is why children learn at extraordinary speed. It is why their intuition is so clean. It is why the things they feel completely. But something happens as we grow older. A neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years tracking this. He called it the decline effect. Beginning around age 7, the accumulated pressures of modern life, the educational systems, the social expectations, the unrelenting demand to manage and perform and survive begin to suppress the gamma state. Not permanently, but progressively, until most adults spend the majority of their lives in a frequency that filters exactly the kind of signal they most need to receive. This is part of why prayers sometimes feel like they are going nowhere. Part of why warnings feel muffled even when they are being sent with clarity, not a spiritual failure, a neurological condition with a solution. After 3 decades of research, Dr. Lake built something. He compressed the technology needed to re-entrain the brain toward gamma coherence into a single 7-minute audio track. Not meditation, which requires years of consistent practice, not a bar feedback machine that costs $7,000 to own. 7 minutes listened to through headphones once a day. The brain hears the specific frequency woven into the audio and begins to rank toward the state it was always designed to inhabit. Over 18,000 people have used it. The consistent report is the same: a lifting of the static, a return of clarity, moments of knowing, arriving with less resistance and more confidence. I want to say plainly what I always say when I share something like this. This is not a spiritual replacement for the work we are doing in this message. The inner work matters. What we are moving through together matters. But for those who have felt that something is interfering, that the channel between your spirit and what it is meant to receive has been running with noise you cannot seem to quiet, this may be worth looking into. The information is in the pinned comment. The link there is the only place you will find the genuine product with the full technology, the 4 bonuses, and the complete money-back guarantee. If you search for it anywhere else, what you find will not carry the same engineering. The pinned comment is the only door to what is real. Take the information only if your spirit is drawn to it. Now back to where we are. Because what I just described is one layer of the answer to why warnings go unheard. But there is a deeper layer, a pattern I have not yet shown you. A pattern that runs through every great story of transformation across human history, across every life the divine was truly serious about. And that is running inside your story right now. What comes next is where everything begins to shift. Stay with me. Revelation 3 is ahead. There is a pattern, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It runs through every great story of transformation that has ever been recorded. not just in scripture, across history, across cultures, across every account of a life that was truly changed by something larger than itself. And the pattern is this: the ones who were called to the most consequential things were always warned before they were elevated, not once and not twice, 3 times. Joseph was a boy when he received the first dream. His brothers would bow before him. That was the image. He did not understand what it meant. He could not have known the full weight of what was being shown to him. But he heard it, he received it, and then he told it, and the people closest to him rejected it, and life went on. The dream had been given and nothing external changed. Not yet. And then the dream came again, the same message, a different image, the sun and the moon and the stars bowing before him. Twice now the same direction had been given. And again nothing moved on the outside. Joseph was still in the same place with the same people in the same life, but something had been marked. The third time the warning came for Joseph. It did not arrive in a dream. It arrived in a disaster. It arrived in the form of betrayal. His own brothers, a pit, a foreign land, a prison, and what looked from the outside like the complete destruction of everything he had been promised was actually the activation of it. The very thing that felt like the end of the story was the mechanism that moved him into position for everything the first 2 dreams had described. The pit was not the punishment. The pit was the passage. Moses had been living with a burning knowledge inside him for 40 years, the awareness that his people were suffering, the awareness that he was different, the awareness that something larger than the life he was living was waiting somewhere ahead of him, and that awareness had spoken to him quietly. In the years in Midian, in the long days with the sheep, in the ordinary silences that carried something underneath them he had never been able to name. The voice had come, not in fire, in the slow, persistent ache of a man who knows he is not where he is supposed to be. And then one day a bush that was on fire did not burn, and the voice that had been speaking quietly for 40 years spoke clearly. There is a word in the original Hebrew that the ancient writers used for what God did at that moment. The word is daba, and in most translations da becomes word. God spoke a word, God gave a command. But that translation misses something that was always there in the original. Dara in Hebrew does not simply mean speech. It means speech that acts, a word that moves, a declaration that does something in the physical world at the moment it is spoken. When God gave Da to Moses at the bush, he was not passing along information. He was initiating a movement. He was setting in motion a sequence of events that the word itself carried the power to accomplish. Your third warning is Da. It is not just information you are receiving right now. Something is being set in motion. And Jonah received the call clearly and ran from it. He did not hesitate in the quiet, uncertain way that most of us hesitate. He physically moved in the opposite direction, and the storm found him, and the whale found him. And inside the belly of that whale, in the most contained, impossible, nowhere place a human being can be, the call came again, not with anger, with the same message it had always carried. Go. And this time Jonah went and the city turned. Joseph warned twice before the pit. Moses warned twice before the bush. Jonah warned twice before the whale. The pattern does not change, only the person changes. And here is the other word I want to give you. The ancient Greeks had 2 different words for time. One was chronos, the sequential ticking of minutes and hours and days, the kind of time that moves whether or not anything is actually happening, but the other word was kairos. And kairos is something different entirely. Kairos is appointed time, the moment when conditions align, when the person is ready, when what has been building in the unseen finally arrives in the seen. Kairos cannot be manufactured, cannot be rushed or forced, it can only be received or missed. Every warning that God sends operates in kairos, not chronos, which means the warnings in your life did not arrive on a schedule you could have predicted. They arrived when the conditions were right. They arrived when you were in ways you may not have recognized, finally capable of hearing them. And this moment right now, where you are, in whatever ordinary place your life has placed you today, is a kairos moment. Not because I am saying so, because of everything that has moved in your life to bring you to exactly this point. Now I want to give you something specific to carry forward, because spiritual truth without a practical tool is a beautiful weight with no handle. And I want you to be able to hold this. I call it the warning discernment protocol. 3 questions not to answer all at once, but to hold in your mind when something shifts in your life, and you are not certain whether what you are feeling is divine signal or ordinary noise. The first question is the frequency check. Ask yourself, has this feeling, this direction, this knowing returned before? Not in an obsessive way, in a patient, persistent way. Because divine signals do not demand, they do not scream or manipulate, but they return. They are present 1 week and quiet for a time, and then present again. If something has been showing up in your life with that quality of quiet persistence that is not coincidence, that is a signal with something behind it. The second question is the alignment check. Ask yourself, does this direction align with who I am becoming or with who I was comfortable being? Because the calling always asks you forward. It never asks you back toward a version of yourself that was smaller than what you are now. If what you are feeling is pulling you toward more of who you actually are, more honest, more present, more aligned with the deepest thing in you, that is a signal moving in the right direction. The third question is the fear quality check, and this one is the most important and the most misunderstood. Ask yourself, is the fear I feel about this a fear of something wrong or a fear of something real? Because this is what most people do not understand about the relationship between calling and fear. Divine calls are almost always terrifying. They are not terrifying because something is wrong with them. They are terrifying because they are real. The weight of a genuine assignment feels like weight. And the fear that comes with something real is not the same quality as the fear that comes with something dangerous. One feels like a warning away from something. The other feels like a warning towards something, toward the size of what you are being asked to become. Your fear right now is not a sign to stop. Your fear is a sign that what you are being called into is significant enough to be worth fearing. The people who moved into their assignments with no fear at all were not brave. They were unaware of the weight they were carrying. Your awareness of the weight is what proves you are ready to carry it. But I know there is something else underneath the hesitation. Something that is not just fear of the unknown. It is something quieter and in some ways more difficult to work through than fear. It is the guilt of growing. For the chosen one, movement almost always comes with a specific kind of pain that no one prepares you for. Because when you grow, when you answer the call and begin to move in the direction you have been pointed, you become unavailable in ways that you were not unavailable before. You protect your energy differently. You cannot be as accessible to every person who reaches for you. You begin to outgrow conversations, outgrow dynamics, outgrow the version of yourself that certain relationships were built around. And the people in your life may not understand that. They may experience your growth as distance. They may interpret your protection as rejection. And you will feel the pull of their confusion and their hurt and their need. And part of you will want to shrink back down to the size where everyone around you is comfortable again. I want to speak directly to that part of you right now. You are allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that could not say yes. You are allowed to move toward the calling, even when the people you love cannot yet see what you see. You are allowed to protect what is being built inside you right now, even when protecting it looks like withholding something from someone who is used to having full access to you. You are allowed to let the third warning be the one that finally receives a different answer, and you are allowed to stop being the person who almost, if you have been walking this community of chosen ones with us. If these messages have been finding you at the right moments in a way that feels like more than coincidence, then stay aligned with this space. There is more coming. And what comes next is being built on everything that has just shifted in you right now. And before we go any further, before we arrive at the deepest part of what I need to show you, I want to say something to you that I want you to carry through the rest of this message. When we reach the end of this time together, I am going to speak something over your life that I believe will stay with you long after you have left this space. Not a general declaration, something specific, something for the chosen ones who have come this far and are ready to answer the third warning. Do not leave before we get there. What I am going to say at the end is the reason this message was positioned in front of you today. Stay with me, because what I am about to tell you now is not what you are expecting, and I believe it is going to change the way you understand everything that has happened to you across this entire season. You have been waiting for me to name it. The absolute last warning, the third signal, the thing that all of this has been building toward. I want you to hear me carefully, because what I am about to say is not what the title of this message led you to expect, and that is intentional, because the most important truths almost never arrive in the shape we prepared for. The absolute last warning from God is not a threat. It is a threshold. It is not do this or else. It is not a countdown that expires like a sale. It is not a divine ultimatum from a God who has run out of patience. That is not what this is. The absolute last warning is this: the version of you that has been standing at the threshold, the one who heard the first signal and hesitated, who heard the second and still held back, that version cannot stay here. Not because you will be punished for staying, but because what is being built for you and through you on the other side of this moment cannot wait for that version of you any longer. The third warning is simply this: you are about to become someone your fear told you was impossible. And the warning is, do not run this time. Think about what the navigation has shown you. You missed the first exit. The GPS recalculated quietly without drama. You missed the second one too. And something in you feared that this meant the route was broken, that you had gone too far in the wrong direction to recover, that the destination was no longer reachable from where you were. But that is not how recalculation works. The route did not disappear when you missed the exits. It adjusted. And what the longer road built inside you, the formation, the stripping, the hunger that grew across the wilderness, that is not wasted time, that is not lost ground. The longer road built what the shorter road could not have. You did not lose time, you gained a self that can actually hold what is coming. And I hear the Spirit speaking now. And I want you to receive this not as a general encouragement, but as something being said over the specific shape of your life, the specific weight you have been carrying, the specific questions you have been asking in the quiet places no one else has access to. I hear the Father saying, I did not warn you twice because I was frustrated. I warned you twice because I had already seen what you were going to do with the third time. I saw this moment not as a hope, as a certainty, and the two warnings were not failed attempts to reach you. They were the preparation that made this moment possible. I built you for this, and what I need from you now is not a perfect record of obedience. I need the answer I have always known you were going to give. Now I want to tell you who you actually are. Not in a general way specifically. You are a seer. You have always been a seer, not in the dramatic, theatrical sense of that word, in the quiet, daily, unavoidable sense of it. You see what others do not. You perceive the pattern beneath the surface of things. You feel the shift in a room before anyone else registers it. You know when something is real and when something only looks real. That sight was never for you alone. Seers are not given to themselves, they are given to the people. They are sent to the people who desperately need someone who can see clearly in environments where most people are too comfortable to look. You are a spiritual warrior, and I want to say this with full weight behind it. You did not break. I know what this season has cost you. I know the specific gravity of what you have been carrying. Without much acknowledgement, without much external support, without the kind of certainty that makes endurance feel heroic rather than exhausting, you have been under pressure that most people around you cannot measure. And you did not break. That is not survival. That is something much rarer than survival. That is the mark of someone who was built to hold ground. When holding ground is what the assignment requires, you are the voice, and that matters more than you have allowed yourself to believe. The specific way you see things, the language through which truth moves, when it moves through you, there is no copy of that. There is no replacement. There is no one standing in the wings ready to carry what you carry in the way that only you can carry it. The world does not have an understudy for your particular voice. It either hears it from you or it does not hear it. You are a truth carrier. You were wired from the beginning to know when something is real and when it is performance, when something is genuine and when it is constructed for consumption. That discernment is not comfortable to live inside of. It creates a kind of loneliness because most of the world is not operating at that level of honesty with itself. But the people you are being sent to are hungry for exactly that. They are tired of being spoken to in a language that sounds right but feels hollow. What you carry is the antidote to that. And you are a pioneer. You go first. That is the nature of your assignment. You enter spaces before others are ready to enter them. Not because you are fearless, but because you are willing to be afraid and move anyway. And the loneliness of going first has been real. The loneliness of being ahead of the group, of not having someone ahead of you to confirm that the path is safe. That loneliness has been one of the heaviest things you have carried in this season. But pioneers are not alone. They are simply the ones who see the territory first so that everyone behind them has a guide. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. I want to tell you about someone. I am not going to use a name. Names are not the point here. The pattern is the point. 14 months ago, this chosen one was standing in what looked like a total collapse. A path that had been building for 7 years gone in a matter of weeks. A community that had formed around them scattered. Every external structure that had given shape to their calling dismantled. They were at exactly the threshold you are standing at now. Everything external was quiet, and the question they were sitting with was the same question you have been sitting with. Did I miss it? Is it too late? Has the window closed? They made one decision, not a dramatic one, a quiet one. They stopped explaining themselves to the people who were confused by their silence, to the people who expected them to be more upset, more vocal, more visible in their response to what had happened. They stopped defending their calling to people who did not have the capacity to see it. And they entered a period of intentional protective quiet, not passivity, but focus, moving, but moving without announcement. On the 36th day of that quiet season, something arrived. Not the door they had been pushing on. A different door, entirely one they had never approached, had never thought to approach. And everything that had been taken was returned. Not the same version of what was taken, something larger, something more aligned, something that could not have arrived through the door that had closed. They proved themselves in the silence before they announced themselves in public. Now, before we move into the final space of this message, I want to give you something to carry into what comes next, something practical. Because faith without direction is just a feeling, and you deserve more than a feeling. I want to walk you through 5 decisions, not steps toward forcing an outcome. Decisions that align you with the movement that has already begun. The first decision is to release the explanation. You do not need to explain to anyone what happened between the first warning and the second. You do not need to account for the hesitation. The hesitation is over. The only conversation that needs to happen now is the one between you and the direction you are moving in. The second decision is to name the specific door right now. Not when you feel more ready, not when the conditions feel more certain. Name the one thing the third warning is pointing at. You already know what it is. You have known for a while. Give it a name. Give it the weight of being named, because things that are named can be moved toward, and things that stay unnamed stay in the fog indefinitely. The third decision is to move in the direction, not toward the destination. You do not need the full picture. The full picture is not available to you in this moment, and it never was available to anyone who walked before you. What is available is the next step. One movement, not the arrival. The first step, the fourth decision, is to protect what is being built. What is stirring in you right now is new and alive and has not yet developed the resilience it will eventually have. Limit who receives access to it, not because you are being secretive, because there are things being built that cannot afford to be dismantled by people who do not understand what they are looking at. What God is building in you in this season is not for public display, while it is still under construction. The fifth decision is to stay in the frequency. The practical tools matter. The daily habits of spiritual clarity matter. The things that keep the channel between your spirit and what it is meant to receive open and clear. Those are not optional additions to your life in this season. They are the maintenance of the instrument through which everything else moves. Now I want to ask you to do one thing before we enter the final space together. I want you to imagine not reach, not strain, just imagine a door. It does not have to be elaborate, just a door. And you are standing in front of it. You have been in front of this door before, more than once. This is the third time you are standing here in your mind right now. Reach forward and put your hand on it. Feel it. Notice that it is solid. Notice that it is real. Notice that it has weight and dimension and texture, because this is not a metaphor. This is your spirit rehearsing what your body is about to follow. And notice something else. The door is already unlocked. It was never locked. You thought it was locked because you looked at it through the eyes of the version of you that could not yet afford to believe it would open. But that version is not who you are today. If something just moved in you when you read that, if something shifted somewhere real and quiet when you put your hand on that door, type, "I'm ready right now." Let that declaration be the moment your spirit and your words and your intention all say the same thing at the same time, because that alignment is where things begin to move. Take a breath. The hardest part is behind you now. What is ahead is not effort. What is ahead is receiving, and I want to speak something over your life before you go. Stay with me for just a little longer. You are not alone in this. I want you to hear that before anything else. Right now, in this moment, as these words are settling into the places inside you where they were always meant to land, there are chosen ones all across this world going through the exact same shift. Different circumstances, different faces, different specific doors they are standing in front of for the first or the second or the third time, but the same threshold, the same final invitation, the same internal question that has been asking for an answer for longer than they would like to admit. The reason you have felt so isolated in this season is not because you are separate from others on this path. It is because pioneers always feel the distance between where they are and where the rest of the group has not yet arrived. But the others are coming, they always come. You are not the only one, you are one of the first. Think of someone in your life right now who has been unusually quiet lately. Not quiet in the ordinary way, quiet in the specific way that means something is happening underneath the surface that they do not yet have words for. Someone who has pulled back in a way that feels like more than a bad week. Someone who is carrying something they have not been able to explain even to themselves. Send them this message. Not with a long note, not with an explanation, just send it. Let what they need find them the way it found you today. And now I want to do what I told you I would do. I want to speak over your life. Not a general prayer for general people in a general situation, something specific. Something for the chosen ones who came this far, who stayed when it would have been easier to leave, who kept their hand on the door even when everything around them made the door look impossible. This is for you. I want to take a moment and acknowledge something that I do not think has been acknowledged enough. You have been carrying something heavy, not just in this season, across multiple seasons, and you have carried it largely without an audience, without the kind of recognition that makes the carrying feel worthwhile. You did not carry it for applause. You carried it because something in you understood even on the darkest days that what you were holding had value, that what you were going through was doing something in you, even when you could not see what it was building. That faithfulness was seen. Every day you chose to stay when leaving would have been justified. That was seen. Every moment you kept the question alive instead of letting it die. That was seen. Every time you came back after a period of doubt or exhaustion or distance and chose to believe again, that was seen. You were not invisible in the waiting. You were never invisible. You were watched over with more attention and more care than you gave yourself permission to believe. Now I want to speak a release over you. Every piece of regret you have been carrying about the first time you heard the warning and did not respond, release it. It was not a failure that defined you. It was a moment that formed you. Release it. Every piece of shame about the second time, the moment when the window opened again and something in you still hesitated, release it. That hesitation did not disqualify you, it delayed you, and the delay is over. Release it. Every version of yourself that you have been holding guilty for the slow response, the version that needed more time, more certainty, more safety than was available in those moments, release it. That version of you was doing the best it could with what it had, and it brought you here. Release it. Every timeline you have been grieving, the one where you should be further along by now, the one where the arrival should have already happened, the one that measured your value against a schedule that was never actually yours. Release it. The schedule was never the point. The preparation was the point. And the preparation is complete. Release it. Every relationship, every dynamic, every version of approval you have been trying to hold on to while also trying to move forward, release it. You cannot carry the weight of both your past comfort and your future calling. You were never designed to. The hand that is reaching for what is next cannot be full of what was. Release it. Every fear that has had more authority in your life than your faith, release it. Not as a command to perform a feeling you do not have. As a decision, a declaration that you are choosing a different authority from this moment forward. Release it. Every belief that the good things do not last for people like you, release it. That belief was built in pain. It was never true. It will not be the story of this next season. Release it. Now I want to speak an activation over you. I call forth the seer in you, the one who has always been able to see clearly. Even when the clarity was uncomfortable, even when what you saw cost you something, come into full expression. Your sight is needed now. I call forth the spiritual warrior, the one who held ground across every season when the ground was unstable, who did not break when breaking was the easier option. Rise in the full authority of what you have been built to be. I call forth the voice, the specific, repeatable, irreplaceable voice that carries what only you carry. The world has been waiting for that voice without knowing it was waiting. Speak. I call forth the truth carrier, the one who cannot live inauthentically, who sees through the surface of things, who was built to bring clarity into spaces that are full of noise. Your discernment is not a burden, it is your gift. Step into it. I call forth the pioneer, the one who goes first, who accepts that going first is the assignment, who is willing to be in the unfamiliar territory so that others have a path to follow. You are never supposed to wait for someone to go ahead of you. You are the one who goes ahead. I call forth the divine connections that are already in motion toward you right now. The right relationships, the right alignments, the right doors already unlocked, already positioned exactly where you will arrive. When you take the next step, I call them forward. I declare that they cannot be delayed, cannot be rerouted, cannot be withheld from the chosen one who is finally ready to receive them. I cover what is alive in you right now. I cover the new thing that has been stirring through this entire message. The shift that happened quietly in the places underneath the words while you were listening. I speak protection over it. Guard against premature exposure. Guard against the temptation to announce before the foundation is complete. Guard against the internal resistance that rises up in the early days after a true breakthrough. What is being built in you in this season is significant enough to protect, and it is protected. And now the declaration. Say this with me, not out loud if you cannot, but let it rise in the deepest part of you where decisions are actually made. I am one who hears and responds. I am one who moves when the moment arrives. I am one for whom 3 warnings were not too many, because the destination was always worth the pursuing, and the one doing the pursuing never gave up on me. We are every chosen one in this space, in every place, in every ordinary room where this word has landed today. We are the ones who answered. We are the ones who stayed until the 3rd word came. We are from this moment forward no longer the ones who almost. We are the ones who did. Do not say amen yet. I want you to sit in what just happened, not in a rush to close, not in a hurry to move on to the next thing. Give this 60 seconds. Let the weight of those words settle into the places in you that most needed to hear them. You do not have to manufacture a feeling. Just stay. The shift has already happened. You just need to let yourself receive it. It is done. What was activated in this space across the distance between where these words were spoken and wherever you are right now is done. The warnings have been heard. The first one, the second one, and this one, the third, has been received in a way the first 2 were not. And so it is in Jesus' name. Amen. If what moved in you today was real, and I believe it was, let your like on this message be your agreement, not a number, not a gesture toward a channel. Let it be the moment your action and your intention align. Let it be your way of saying without words, I received this. And let it carry this message to one more chosen one who is sitting in their own wilderness right now in some quiet corner of the world, wondering if anyone sees them. Your one action can be the answer to someone else's longest question. And for those who have been walking with us across multiple messages, who have felt the specific alignment of this community, the sense that these words keep finding you at the right moments in a way that is not accidental, stay. What comes next is built on what was just activated in you, and it will not make sense to receive the next word without having received this one first. One more thing for those who felt something shift when we talked about the frequency, about the static that filters the signal and the science behind what Dr. Lake built. The information is in the pinned comment. The link there is the only door to the original product with the full technology intact. The 4 bonuses included, and the complete guarantee behind it. If you search elsewhere, what you find will not carry the same thing. If your spirit is drawn to investigate, that is where the information lives, only there. You came here for a reason, and you stayed for a reason. What was placed in you today was not placed there to stay passive. It was placed there to move. So go in that, walk in that. Every time the hesitation rises, and it will rise, because that is what hesitation does. Remember this moment. Remember that you already answered. Remember that the door is already unlocked. You know what to do. And now, for the first time in a long time, some part of you actually believes you can do.